Okay, what is the strategic assessment during the product development process? Well, generally, your objective is to get down to a product or service where you're ready for launch. And that means getting down to the minimum viable product, because the characteristics of the minimum viable product is you put in the least amount of effort, work, funds, resources, etc., to produce the value proposition with the greatest degree of desire or most wanted by your intended customer, market, or segment. So say I have a gizmo, and I make that gizmo, and the core function of that gizmo has one value proposition, but it can do numerous things, and I could put in all these additional functionalities in it that would also be cool that the end user would like, but it may not be enough. It may cost time, it may cost effort, it may pull away resources from perfecting the core value proposition of the product, and it may delay the launch. So any of these things will be negative. So what you're wanting to get to is the minimum viable product. What minimal features, what minimal aspects of this product or service is going to meet the desires or needs of the customer. Later models, later additions or improvements to the product or service can come later. But again, this can bog you down, especially in a startup with limited resources and a dash to the finish line to try to get the product to market and try to record some revenue, which can be critical for investment, can be critical for a number of reasons. Trying to go beyond the minimum viable product is an area of diminishing returns immediately. So anyway, you're going to use the alpha test to primarily bring this information in. Any information you have is going to get caught up, like we said, in the feedback loop, so you can understand what changes, developments, modification, alterations need to be made to your product, service, or idea in order to meet squarely within that core value proposition. If you determine very early on that the value proposition that you have has so much greater effect in other areas that your intended use by the customer is not as strong as the secondary uses or the secondary values that it creates, then you'll do what's called pivoting. And this is a strategic reorientation of your product, service, or idea to meet a different need or different value proposition, because the functionality of it is suitable to that alternative need or value proposition. Some of your greatest companies out there have strategically pivoted to a different, completely different, but generally related, but completely different value proposition for the customer, and then grew dramatically from there. So again, be aware, most products and services do pivot at some point in time from their initial intended value proposition. But once you go about building the product, service, or idea and going through the development phases, you get this information. And then the earlier the pivot can happen, the less costly, generally, because you put less resources into a given area of development.